All right, guys, back on Southeastern 16 with Max Barr previewing Saturday's matchup between the Texas A&M Aggies and the Tennessee Vols, 11 a.m. Central tip in College Station, that game on ESPN. And Max, two top 10 teams here. Of course, Tennessee, probably for them, a much-needed sort of midweek off after they had the come-from-behind win over Vanderbilt last Saturday. Meanwhile, A&M went to Mississippi State and lost by 16 on Tuesday. And so coming off of that, we'll try to regroup back at home here. The Aggies are going to get 3 of their final 5 games at home in the regular season. But listen, stylistically, if you're someone who enjoys games that will likely not get in the 70s, this is going to be the game for you. Two rugged defensive teams here clashing. Ooh, it's going to be great.
Appointment television, Blake. Appointment television right here. This is where the true basketball lovers unite in a 57-59 final score is what I'm predicting. I love what this game is shaping up to be. We've got 2 top 5 defenses in the nation, 2 offenses not top 5 in the nation. No, but I mean, this is, guys, if you're watching this, you know by now Tennessee and A&M what their DNA is, how they grind out wins, what they lean on when shots aren't falling. Are shots going to be falling in this game? Honestly, with how this league has been going, I bet both of these teams shoot the lights out, right?
Yeah.
No, but the reason that Blake and I are so excited for this game is this is strength on strength, brute on brute. Something's got to give here.
Something's got to give. I was trying to think like last year, what did it look like for these two teams? But what you have to remember is Texas A&M was not a great defensive team last year. And so when you look at the games that they played against each other, I'm looking back at it here. I think they played twice. 85-69. A&M won that game in College Station, February the 10th. And then it was 86-51. They lost at Tennessee. So two very different results between these two teams last year. But again, the difference is that A&M they're now one of the best defensive teams in the country. We've always kind of thought that with the physicality and the rebounding. But statistically, they were not anywhere close to what they are this season. And so now you take this Tennessee team that I think, Max, we sort of talk about the differences between last season and this season. Well, the offensive numbers are about the same. They finished 28th in offensive efficiency last year. They are, wait a minute. Yeah, they're 28th last year, 30th now this year in offensive efficiency. Same kind of team in terms of, yes, they may miss some shots, but they're going to get some offensive rebounds. And so it's a fun dynamic to look at with these two teams because when you have these defense on defense type games, I mean, sometimes it really just comes down to, all right, which of these teams is going to get better looks and which of these teams can convert when they do get those looks, right? And the numbers tell you that team is probably still going to be Tennessee just based on the fact that they have a Chaz Lanier. We saw the second half that Zakai Ziegler had against Vanderbilt. We know Milicic can step out, make shots, all those things. Like, you still feel like Tennessee's a better offensive team than A&M. But you're also going on the road here. And so this is one of those games where it does. Like, when you look at everything, it just – you said it. This is going to be one of those that probably like boggles the mind in terms of how this game actually plays out because you never know when you get two teams like this playing against each other.
You said something that made me think. So like Tennessee going to get the easier, maybe not easier, but probably can trust them to have the cleaner looks from 3 with the Milicic pick and pops, with Lanier in transition. They've got a little bit more, even as much as we've harped on the offense, a little bit cleaner than A&M style. However, in SEC play, Tennessee ranks second to last in free throw rate. They're not getting to the line much. They're not. Texas A&M, about middle of the pack, putting teams on the line. It kind of depends on the matchup. But they do get to the line a good amount. So I think Tennessee probably has the more versatile offensive weapons here. And we're trying to find little cracks because these are two of the best defenses in the nation. Tennessee probably has the the better options with Lanier, with Milicic, with Ziegler creating. However, I think A&M, especially at home, is going to win the free throw battle pretty easily. So that kind of balances out in my mind.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is we talk about sort of when you look at A&M's ability to get to the free throw line, like that's the number we always bring up because, like we said, statistically the numbers shooting percentages are just they're poor. Like the shooting percentages are poor in every statistical category. So their ability to get to the free throw line is crucial in a game like this. And we always say too, Tennessee, like A&M, is going to play defense with physicality. So how is the game officiated? That always comes into play when you get two defensive teams like this, who, you know, if they're able just to play good disciplined defense and it's a game where let's say the officials are just saying, hey, this is just good defense, there's a little bumping, hey, that's fine. But, we're not going to sit here and call every single thing because I think in a game like this, Max, you probably could call every single thing if you wanted to because they are two of the most physical, if not the two most physical teams in the SEC. And so A&M getting to the free throw line, crucial in a game like this. Trying to run your offense. We always say Tennessee's going to force you further and further out to kind of get your offense going. And that's where I think, the ability of a Wade Taylor to try to take people off the dribble, create those kind of things. But we know who's going to be defending him here. And, when you look at the defensive combination of Ziegler and Meshack, it's tough. And so I think one of the things, too, that will stand out here, and we've kind of brought this up before, right? I mean, Tennessee is 8-5 in the SEC. 4 of those losses are on the road, right? They lose by 30 at Florida, 1 at Vanderbilt, 2 at Auburn, 11 at Kentucky. Now, like we said, a couple of those are just very close calls. But you do have a couple of those performances just like, we did not play well at Florida. We did not play well at Kentucky. And now, you go in and play in this Texas A&M team that's a little bit probably angry, I would say, coming out of that performance at Mississippi State. They're back at home. And that's kind of been a difference for them this season, right? They only have 1 home loss all year. That was the 94-88 game to Alabama, which keep in mind, too, in that game, they didn't have Wade Taylor. So A&M's been really good at home. Tennessee has been a little up and down on the road. And again, in a game where you expect there to be limited possessions, lower scoring type scenario, maybe it is just as simple as Texas A&M just going to grind Tennessee. The Vols struggled to find their offense on the road, which would not be anything new here. And maybe that's how this plays out.
Yeah, great point there. I was going to bring up I have written down undefeated at home when Wade Taylor plays.
Yep.
So it's a tough team to beat in College Station. One more thing on the matchup here, Blake. One angle of Tennessee's offense that's really impressive, and it doesn't really get talked about enough, I feel like, when we talk about Tennessee, but their offensive rebounding. Milicic kicking back out for threes. Akpara, just a force inside. And with A&M, we talk about their offensive rebounding as we should, being the best in the country, but their defensive rebounding is elite at the same time. Number 1 in the SEC in defensive rebounding rate. That could play a factor, right? If Tennessee is not hitting their first look, that linear transition, is that just a quick 5-second possession and it's just, okay, here comes A&M again? Or is it able to get, long rebound and you're able to get A&M out of rotation and stuff like that? Keep an eye on the offensive rebounding numbers for Tennessee because at this point, I expect A&M to just get theirs. If A&M's able to keep Tennessee off the offensive boards, it really makes their offense one-dimensional.
All right, picks for this one.
This is a tough one. This is a tough one for me. This is a tough one. But I think it's going to come down to one stat, Blake, that we already touched on, but I think it's going to be very important because, that stat is the free throws, but it's going to be important because Tennessee, bench minutes in the nation, they rank 317th in bench minutes. Now, they've had some injuries that have influenced that, but still, we are where we are at this point in the season. A&M, 20th in the nation in bench minutes. 317th in bench, 20th in bench. We don't get to the free throw a lot. We live at the free throw line. Aggies.
All right, so Tennessee gets 34.7% of their points in conference play from the three-point line. That's third in the SEC, right? So if you say they need, I mean, surprisingly, that's probably surprises some people, just in terms of like, all right, Tennessee's a team that is getting a good chunk from three. But when you think about Lanier making shots, Ziegler making shots, and Gainey and so forth, maybe it shouldn't be a huge surprise. But if that's kind of the number, and let's say that, hey, they need to get some of their points from three. Here's the thing about that. When you look at some of the games they played on the road, right? At Florida, 429 for 14%. Auburn, 422 for 18%. At Kentucky, 3 of 18 for 17%. I mean, yeah, they went 43% at Oklahoma, 9 of 21. You know, sure, they hit some at Texas. But I think this is one of those where if you're looking at it from that standpoint and feeling like, okay, Tennessee needs to get a decent chunk of their points from three here, right? And they're playing on the road against a rugged defensive team like Texas A&M. Are they going to get those looks that they need? Because like you said, whether it's free throws, if you're not getting those opportunities, then I think Tennessee's path to scoring consistently in this game becomes much more difficult. Now, guess what? I could say very similar things about the team on the other side of the floor too, with A&M. I can't say that I know how they're going to score 70 points here because it could come from a variety of ways. They may score 50 of their points from the free throw line. They may go 50 of 70 for all I know. But I think this is one where when you're in doubt in a game like this that is going to be determined by the defense, look at the road splits for the opponent. Are they good on the road? And are they good on the road against maybe a defensive team like this? I think that's where you'll probably have a few more trust issues with Tennessee in this particular spot. Not that I trust Texas A&M offensively. I've said that many times this year. But I just think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I don't feel like this is one where A&M is going to have to play catch up and have to shoot 25 threes or something necessarily. And so because of that, I'm going to pick the Aggies as well in this one, Max. So
It's music to my ears, Blake.
over under, the winning team scores 62 points.
Under.
Okay. All right, you heard it here
know.
first.
I don't think it's getting in the 60s.
We'll see. We'll see. Early tip. Are you kidding me? Maybe the shots aren't falling. Early tip. Maybe let's go 50-48. We'll find out. But we'll see how it plays out. Yeah, should be an interesting game. I would expect this to be close no matter what. But again, you guys let us know what you think. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notifications. We'll be going live on Saturday to discuss this one and more. So we appreciate you watching as always. Talk to you soon at Southeastern 16.